Welcome to the OLV Daily Reflection for Friday, March 18th. Today's first reading for the Daily Mass comes to us from the 37th chapter of the book of Genesis. It reads, Israel loved Joseph best of all his sons, for he was the child of his old age, and he made him a long tunic. When his brothers saw that their father loved him best of all his sons, they hated him so much that they would not even greet him. One day, when his brothers had gone to pasture their father's flocks at Shechem, Israel said to Joseph, Your brothers, you know, are tending our flocks at Shechem. Get ready, I will send you to them. So Joseph went after his brothers and caught up with them in Dothan. They noticed him from a distance, and before he came up to them, they plotted to kill him. They said to one another, Here comes that master dreamer. Come on. Let us kill him and throw him to one of the cisterns here. We could say that a wild beast devoured him. We shall then see what comes of his dreams. When Reuben heard this, he tried to save him from their hands, saying, We must not take his life. Instead of shedding his blood, he continued, just throw him into that cistern there in the desert, but do not kill him outright. His purpose was to rescue him from their hands and return him to his father. So when Joseph came up to them, they stripped him of the long tunic he had on. Then they took him and threw him in the cistern, which was empty and dry. Then they sat down to their meal. Looking up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead, their camels laden with gum, balm, and resin to be taken down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, What is to be gained by killing our brother and concealing his blood? Rather, let us sell him to these Ishmaelites, instead of doing away with him ourselves. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh. His brothers agreed. They sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. The sinfulness of humanity is on full display in today's passage from the book of Genesis. Brothers plotting against brothers out of jealousy. Furthermore, this idea that it is okay to not only kill someone, but sell someone to slavery and make them less human by that action. So again, much could be said about the sinfulness of the brothers of Joseph. But this is not the end of the story. As we know, as we continue to hear from the book of Genesis, the fortunes of Joseph are transformed. He goes from being a slave to being second in charge of the entire kingdom of Egypt, second only to Pharaoh himself. In this reality of going from being the least to greatest, the stone rejected by the builders has become the cornerstone. We know of this theme because it is the theme of redemption. That when sinfulness, when doubt, when horrible circumstances come to dominate our lives, God's grace can transform all those realities into something for the kingdom. Because the least can become the greatest. The weak can become the strongest. Death can become life. And this is where faith comes in, because the physical world, the material world, the world we see, they cannot operate under this understanding. Because again, what I've described is what happens through God and God's grace, not through the things of this world. So again, faith is so important because we have to use faith to understand that things can be different, that things can be transformed, that when we see sinfulness, evil, and destruction, that's not the final answer. So part of the Lenten journey is recommitting ourselves to understanding that God operates differently than the world, that redemption can happen, that we know God's grace can do amazing things. So hopefully, again, we can rediscover, reemphasize, once again, fully believe in the hope that comes from God's grace. And let faith be the guiding light in all situations, so that, again, we don't see the sinfulness, the destruction, the worst things of this world, but we always see that there is opportunities for God's kingdom to break through if we just keep faith and trust in God's grace. Our Lady of Victory, pray for us.